Okay, go on this computer. Okay, so this program is about 5 powerful career strategies for professional women. A little bit about myself. Who am I? My name is Hira, and I have been based in London for a couple of years. Before that, I was in Dubai, and before that, I was in Pakistan. So who am I? I am a leadership trainer, and I am an executive career coach. I'm also a licensed NLP practitioner, and I'm an avid blogger. I write for the Huffington Post, for the International Coach Federation, for Thrive Global, Elevate, and recently I was published in Forbes as well. And yeah, and I've done my master's in human resources. I started off my career by training, and I was training both men and women. I think during the last few years, I've been training more women than I've trained men. And I'm extremely passionate about women in leadership. I've done lots and lots and lots of training programs in Dubai, in London, in Pakistan, because I originally started my career in Pakistan. I also run 2 podcasts, 8 Minutes of Learning with Hirali, which has been featured in the Huffington Post, and Revitalize and Rise Sheroes, which interviews heroic, inspirational female role models. And I'm the founder of 3 different brands, ET Management Consulting, which was in Dubai, and then Revitalize, Rise, and Advancing Your Potential. So that's pretty much about me, and that's just a snapshot of 2017. Last year was published 25 times in different blogs, like the Huffington Post, International Coach Federation. I was featured in magazines, also featured in the national newspapers back at home because I trained the police CIU officials in a seminar. And I had 9 guest appearances, and I also became a registered coach and mentor with NHS and the London's Women Leadership Network here in London. So that's pretty much about me, and I'm going to get on to the leadership challenge which women face. Now, a little bit background. So I am writing a book, which is hopefully going to be completed by the end of this month. And the basis of this book was because I was training and coaching women in various regions, and because I trained and coached women in Asia, and I trained and coached women in Middle East, and then I'm training and coaching women now in London, Europe, and because of this online work, thankfully I'm training women in US and Australia and UK. So I had access to a large group of women from various regions, and I was coaching them, I was mentoring them, and I had started to see that a pattern was emerging in the challenges faced by women, and that really fascinated me because I thought that, women in Pakistan or women in Asia for that matter, or women in Middle East would have problems which are very typical to them. And those problems and those challenges will probably not be very prevalent in countries like United Kingdom or in US. But what was surprising was that the same challenges were coming across again and again. So I decided to do a survey, and I said, okay, let's ask everybody, what exactly are the top challenges which are holding you back in your career? And around 300 women from across the globe responded to the survey. And what was interesting was that a lot of the challenges were unanimous. Most of the working women, professional women across the globe face the same challenge. And the number one challenge, which was a winner, was the fear of missing out for most women, and especially working moms who have children as well. They found it very difficult to be able to cope with different roles as a working professional, as a mom, wife, daughter, and so on and so forth. The second one was imposter syndrome, which is, oh, I'm an imposter, I don't deserve to be here, I'm not worth it. Surprisingly, Asian women did not report a high level of imposter syndrome, but Asian women did report high level of confidence issues, not being able to step up, not being able to speak for opportunities and ask for opportunities. And that is not really something which it didn't come as a surprise to me. Why? Because obviously, considering the fact that we're still in a country, in a culture where we do experience gender and misogynist work culture. So it's no surprise that women are experiencing imposter syndrome and finding it difficult to step up. But what is interesting is that it's not just women in Asia and Middle East who are experiencing this. The highest level of imposter syndrome was reported in US and UK, where women think that they're an imposter, they don't deserve to be there, they don't own their success, and because they feel like an imposter and because they inaccurately assess their abilities, they are afraid to step up and they're afraid to ask for opportunities. And then, of course, there was an inability to say no. There was perfectionism, inability to delegate, which is linked to perfectionism, because as women, we are perfectionists and we want everything done in a certain way, in a very perfect way. We find it very difficult to delegate because we want to do everything ourselves. Another very important thing is highlighting your accomplishments. Women find it very difficult to self-promote. They're always dismissing their dismissing their, if anybody attributes, if anybody gives them acknowledgement, if anybody praises them, they will always dismiss the compliments and acknowledge it to external factors. This happened or that happened, or I was lucky, or they were nice, or they were kind. They wouldn't really own the success, and they find it very difficult to promote. So that is another reason, another thing which held them back. And then, of course, there was time management. There was also stress management. There's vulnerability. And then in the external factors, there were male-dominated, gendered work environments, which found it difficult. But my survey was primarily to do with internal obstacles, which women can overcome themselves. And of course, gendered work environments and harassment and all these things also fall in place, but those are external issues which need to be addressed, no doubt. But in this particular seminar or in this session, or in my book also, I'm referring to the internal obstacles which we can kind of take control over ourselves. So these were the top ones: fear of missing out, imposter syndrome, and time management. And I just wanted to give you a background of the challenges which came across. Now, the session today, I'm going to be discussing the 5 career boosters for business and professional women. So, of course, the career boosters which I am discussing today are also applicable to business women. If you're running a business or if you're working, it's also applicable. So what are those 5 career boosters? The first one being is self-leadership, and I'm going to explain that in detail in the next few slides. And then you have building your leadership brand, promoting your brand, identifying mentors and sponsors, and something which we really take for granted and we don't pay much attention to is taking care of ourselves. So what exactly is self-leadership? Now, self-leadership is having a developed sense of who you are, what you can do, where you're going, coupled with the ability to influence your communication, your emotions, and behavior. The reason why self-leadership is very important is because as women, sometimes what happens is that we are often subject to limiting beliefs regarding ourselves, regarding our progress, regarding our regarding where we stand. And it is therefore very important to identify those limiting beliefs and identify those areas in which we are feeling less confident, and establish coping mechanisms which can help us overcome this lack of self-confidence that we feel. So self-leadership is all about self-awareness, being aware of your emotions, knowing what you feel, and knowing and pointing out that right now, if I'm feeling underconfident, it's probably a limiting belief which is holding me back. And by questioning myself and by transforming my thoughts, I can definitely feel more confident. So that's why self-awareness is the first step towards anything. I mean, that's also the first training that I do in all my training programs, because to be able to master teams or be able to lead teams, you first need to be able to master yourself. And mastering yourself includes having self-confidence, having self-efficacy, and having self-awareness. And in self-awareness is very similar to self-observation and self-management. Now, most aspects of your life, in your health, your career, your relationships, if you can control the way you think, if you can control your emotions and the way you handle your response to different things in your life, then you can be extremely, extremely successful, because it is the foundation for any leadership development or any executive coaching program, right? Now, let's move forward and see what exactly is included in self-leadership. So self-leadership includes, number 1, who you are, your values, beliefs, and goals. Number 2, what you do, your behaviors and your motivations. Number 3, what you need to learn, learning points and learning plan in order to help you improve. And number 4, what you know, building successful habits and creating a successful environment. Now, the reason why it's important to know who you are is because as women, we undergo a lot of changes in our lives. We get married, we become mothers, or we might go through different stages, perhaps a divorce, unfortunately. We could be single, we could choose not to have children, we could have lots of children. So we go through different phases of life, and traditionally women are supposed to shoulder the responsibility of of work as well as home, and primarily home. So the reason why most women experience fear of missing out, because if anything is ignored, if your child is ignored, if your home is ignored, the first, people will be very quick to blame women and say, oh, she's careless, she's irresponsible. And that's not just in Asia or Middle East, to be honest. That's everywhere. That's a universal thing, even in Europe, even in US. Women have this, traditionally, they have been passed on this responsibility to take care of everything. And children and home is primarily their responsibility. And because we have so many responsibilities to look into, sometimes down the line, we kind of let go of who we are. We let go of our values, we let go of our beliefs, and we let go of our goals, which is fine, because understandably, I'm a mom too. I know we go through changes, we go through compromises, sacrifices, then we come up again, and then again we go through this, and then again we come up again. And this is something, unfortunately, or fortunately, we could say, that you cannot really avoid, because that's something which is, whichever part of the world you are in, it will come down to you. And of course, there are concepts like equal parenting and very much people are encouraging you to share the parenting burden. But a lot of things we all know do come down to women themselves. So in that process, we often lose ourselves. And that's the reason why it is very important to identify your values, your beliefs, and your goals. And once you identify your values and beliefs and goals, you will be able to identify the career path you want to choose. What exactly are your behaviors? What are your motivations? What are your habits? And what is it that is holding you back? Now, in your values, you have now, usually what happens is that I give a list of values to people, but generally value list is something which is easily downloadable from the internet, where you have list of values. And what you do is that you basically write down 3 or 5 values which are really important to you. What is it? Is it family? Is it commitment? Is it professionalism? Is it working hard? Is it creating a difference? Or what value is really, really important to you? What areas of life do you want to set your goals in? What dreams do you have? What are your long-term goals? And what specifically can you do to eliminate or reduce these negative cues at home, at work? Because all the time we're surrounded by people, by things which kind of take us further away from our goals. And it is our duty to identify those people or those cues or those things which kind of bring stress in our lives, or which make us go further away from our goals. And a lot of times, unfortunately, we are surrounded by people who are very negative, and some of the people could be family members, and you really cannot do much about it, right? You can't really stay away from family members. But the best thing is to develop self-awareness in such a way that you kind of filter all negative responses and only focus on the positive. Okay, and what exactly can you do to increase these positive cues? What exactly can you do? Maybe you start meditating, you start exercising, you start taking time off for yourself. So identify the positive cues and identify the negative cues. Take a journal. Journaling is something which is highly recommended for everyone. Have a journal, have a pen, write down your values, write down your goals, and write down the things which actually, because sometimes we are so busy in our lives that we hardly get time to take a diary and pen and write these things down. And they seem very bookish, but to be honest, once you write them down, they will really, really make a lot of difference in your life. Okay, and if you need, if you want to increase the positive cues, if you want to reduce the negative cues, whose help can you elicit? Do you need a coach? Do you need a mentor? Do you need a friend? Because sometimes, yes, you can pay a coach or mentor, or sometimes you can just have a friend, an accountability partner who can hold you accountable to all these things. And once you list all these things down, you will know exactly who you are, right? Then again, the next important thing is knowing what you do. And this is really important, because a lot of the problems that and challenges which women face are a result of, for example, if it's imposter syndrome, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve to be here, I'll be called out, I'm fake, I don't think so, I this promotion is for me, and things like that. So a lot of these emotions is something that you need to be aware of, because as soon as they come in, and they will come, I'm not saying that, because obviously you're a human being, you will be subject to negative limiting beliefs all the time, but it's just how you act on these limiting beliefs which is very important. So usually what I recommend is a vet process, and then there's also another one coming up which is really popular, and women have really liked this, but I'm going to go back and discuss this process first. So WED process is basically validating your emotions, exploring the emotions and transforming the emotions. So whenever you're feeling underconfident, whether you're feeling that, oh, you don't deserve this, or you are feeling guilty, because obviously as women, we are afraid of missing out, or whatever emotion which you're feeling at that time and which is not really helping you positively, the first thing which you need to do is to validate it, is to identify that this is what you're going through. Identify that this is a negative emotion. It's fine. There's no big deal. Everybody goes through it. I just need to flip that emotion. Okay. And sometimes what I recommend to a lot of people who say that, when I go on stage, I feel very underconfident. I don't want to speak up. And I recommend what is called a brain flip. Now, what exactly is a brain flip? You literally count till 5 seconds. And you flip the negative thought which is entering in your mind, because the more you let the negativity stay in your mind, the more it's going to penetrate and overpower you. So the moment a negative thought enters your mind, you count till 5 and you literally flip it. So recently I have been to a lot of international conferences with hundreds and hundreds of women, and really sometimes, and I have been here in London only for 2 years, so sometimes when I walk on the stage, I am being compared to women who have won 20 or 30 awards. They're really good, and sometimes I feel, oh my God, who am I to be here? But the moment I experience these thoughts, I immediately turn on a flip and I say, oh, but I love talking in front of the stage. I love talking to people. And I suddenly fill myself with happy emotions, because I know that if I let those previous negative emotions stay on or linger on for too long, eventually they will overpower me. So I very quickly do a brain flip. And this is exactly what the WED process is. You identify the emotion, you identify the belief, and you identify the consequence, because obviously whatever negative belief it is holding you back, right? It is having an impact in your career. It's not allowing you to step up or ask for that opportunity or speak up in a conference room or give your suggestion. So whatever it is, identify the consequence negative, and then try to distance yourself by debating or by distracting. So you can either distract yourself by something else, or go up, have water, listen to some music, even listen to a joke, whatever it is, distract your mind from that negative thought, and then just energize yourself. Replace that bad thought with a positive, energizing thought, which I call the brain flip. And there are ways to question or debate those limiting thoughts, and that's called questioning your generality, questioning the authenticity, questioning the context, and questioning the impact. So usually what happens is that when we're at work, we often come across situations where we are not promoted, or maybe we feel that the boss is not really happy with us, or we have these assumptions, because human beings, literally, when we walk in, we at work, I remember, we used to have these assumptions, and we used to say, oh, today what, don't talk to him, or don't, I had an HR director, and we used to say, let's not talk to him because he looks in a very bad mood, or he didn't reply to me, so I'm not going to discuss the idea today, which perhaps might be a good idea, but then it's always very good to kind of question the generality of whatever you're thinking. And if you experience any bad situations in work, is it based on a one-size-fits-all type of conclusion, or is it a one-off instance? Because once we are working in teams, we often judge people, right? And it's very important to identify what exactly is the situation. Is it a one-type fit-all situation in which we are generalizing everybody? For example, all women are this, or all Asians are this, or all Muslims are terrorists, things like that. Generalizations which are not really good. So identify the generality of the situation. Then question the authenticity. Is it based on limited or incomplete knowledge? Is it based on opinions versus facts? Because most of the times, whatever we are thinking, whatever thought which is holding us back, is based on something which is really, really, based on other people's opinions, and there's no facts behind it. And if it is based on opinions, can you evaluate the source of the opinion? Can the source of the opinion actually be trusted? Another good way is to question the context. And sometimes it happens is that, you face communication problems or you face work challenges because of lack of communication, which is responsible for your speculation. And ask yourself, is it owing to the other person being in a specific phase of life? So sometimes if you don't get along with team members, it could be that you are in a specific phase of life, you're going through a transition, in terms of maybe you moved your house, maybe you had a death in the family, maybe somebody's sick in your family, maybe you are a new mom, a new dad or whatever, but we're talking about moms here. So yeah, maybe you're a new mom, you had any XYZ situation in your family, and also try and think from the other person's point of view, that is that person going through a specific phase as a result of which all these problems are coming up. So question the context of any negativity in the situation. And last but not the least is question the impact. What is the worst that can happen if I step up and if I ask for a promotion, if I volunteer myself for an activity which I ordinarily wouldn't, if I speak in the conference room, if I speak in the boardroom, what is the worst that can happen? And chances are that if it doesn't kill you, then it will only make you stronger. So yeah, so I mean, just go ahead and do it. What's the worst that can happen, right? So basically in self-leadership, what you're learning is that emotions themselves are not bad. Okay, you have different emotions. You have sadness, you have anger, you have fear, you have happiness, surprise, contempt, disgust. The emotions themselves are not bad. The emotional experience don't tell us the cause that caused the response. It's actually how we respond to these things which is either negative or positive. It's the outcome of these emotions which is negative, positive. And this is exactly what self-leadership teaches you: to identify the emotion, to distance this, to debate it, to question the authenticity, to question the impact, and flip the emotion, flip the negativity into a positive emotion. And that is going to play a very, very important role in helping you understand where your negative thoughts lie. Okay, so since the time is short and we have to discuss 5 things, I am going to move on to the next career booster. If you have any questions related to the previous one, of course, you are more than welcome to ask me any questions. You can pop it in the chat box and I'll answer them straight away. Okay, so building your leadership brand. This is something which is really important. Now, what exactly is your leadership brand? Your brand is not the same as a corporate brand. You've heard of corporate brands. When we are referring to your brand your brand as a leader, we're thinking about the package that you want to offer to others, and it's just a small scale version of the corporate brand, and vastly differs from, well, not really vastly differs. The dynamics would be the same, but your brand is a reflection of the story that you want to tell others about yourself and how you wish for others to see you. And over time, as you evolve as a human being and as you age and as you progress at work or business or whatever it is that you pursue, your story changes and you finish some things, you start other things. Things that are important at one stage of your life may lose importance over time. You might be really excited about something right now, but 5 years down the line, you may not be excited. That's all right. That's okay, because you're evolving. Your goals will also change over time. So you're okay. Okay, I'm going to mute. All right. So over the course of time, your leadership brand is going to evolve, and that's fine. I mean, nobody said that you could have one consistent brand all the time. It is going to change. It is going to kind of, so I'm just going to, okay. Is this muted? So Akhtar, thank you for joining us. If you could just for the time being turn off your video, that would be nice, because I want everybody to see the presentation. Thank you so much, Akhtar. All right. So yes, coming back, building a brand is crucial, right? Because it might change over time, which is fine, but you need to know what exactly, what exactly can you do to make that brand stronger? Because building your brand can open doors for you. It can generate new opportunities and give you greater credibility. It is crucial, and to be honest, your brand is what precedes your reputation. It's also the way to construct the right kind of footprint for yourself, so that when prospective employers or managers in your company or even business partners, they hear about you, they'll not only find you, they will find content or they'll hear things that will encourage their opinion of you. So that is the reason why it's very, very important to build your leadership brand. And the way you do it is to ask yourself these questions again. Like I said, journaling is important. Pick up a pen, pick up a book, and write down these things. What am I currently known for at work? How do others perceive me, and what skills or areas of expertise do they associate with me? And if you know that, which is great, if you don't know that, why don't you do an informal survey? Ask your friends, ask your colleagues, ask your managers, ask senior people at work, what exactly do they think of me? What areas are associated with me? What impression immediately comes to mind when coworkers hear my name? Am I a go-getter? Am I somebody who's hardworking, somebody who's confident, somebody who can be relied on for execution, somebody who is very creative, somebody who can finish tasks? We all have our own specialities. So what exactly comes to mind when coworkers hear my name? And what do others say about me when I'm not in the room? Because that is exactly what your brand is about. What do people say to you when you are not in the room? Now, if you already have a brand, and chances that you do, because brand, what exactly is brand? Brand is how people look at you, are the things which people associate with you. And whether you have consciously built that brand or you have unconsciously built it, people immediately form opinions about the way you work, about the way you work in teams, about the way you work on projects. So isn't that important that while you're creating that impression and while you're creating that brand, why not create a brand which you want them to see? Why you don't want a brand which is created by accident, right? Because honestly, I think we all have a brand. Okay, we have these personal brand thingies, right? But the only problem that if you're not aware of it, is that you did not create it. Okay, because if, like I said, if you're at workplace, the people you work with have gone ahead and formed their own impressions and opinions and even judgments about who you are, and they've branded you in their minds. But this is not by design. This is almost accidentally. So write down these questions. Ask yourself, what exactly is your brand, and what is it that you want other people to know you as? If you have an existing brand, and chances are that you don't already do, is this misaligned with your career goals? Or is it out of whack with your passions? Okay, is your brand supporting your organization values? Because if your personal brand is misaligned with your career goals, right, is it something which you do not want in the long run, you may get bogged down with tasks that lead you away from your ideal career trajectory. So it is important that your personal brand is aligned with your career goals. If your existing brand is mismatched with your strengths, you might find yourself fielding assignments that you really struggle to accomplish without expending an inordinate amount of effort. So if it is not something in which you are strong, then you will just kind of be struggling with it, and you will be. And there are times when you are not good at something; it's not your strength, which is okay. But if you're passionate about it, then you will eventually learn it. But if you're not passionate about it, if you're not strong in it, then chances are it does not go well with your leadership. So kind of try and remove those things. And if your existing brand is out of your passions, you will find it, even if you're very good at something, and trust me, it happens. You might be very good at a number of things, but you are not passionate about it. So you may struggle to stay motivated to perform, right? Or if your brand is not supporting organization values, so you might be very creative and you might be really good, but the organization that you're working in or the department that you're working in perhaps does not thrive on creativity. Perhaps it's a department which will rather not have you be creative, right? So it actually depends on whether your brand is in line with organization values. And also ask yourself, have you allowed others to define your reputation? Now, see, the thing is, I know that we all are working when we are working, we are pursuing professional careers. Unfortunately, whether we are passionate, whether we are strong in certain characteristics is good, but it's only good unless and until your brand is being seen as supporting your organization values and your departmental objectives. Because even if you're very good, even if you are very hardworking, you're passionate, but whatever you're doing is not supporting departmental values, then it's unfortunately not a brand you'd want to pursue, or you take yourself out of the situation and go to a place which values your brand. So it has to be important. It's important to know that your brand is basically Um, Three things. Your brand comprises of three things. Number one, it is in sync. You're passionate about what you're doing. Number two, it consists of things which you are really strong in, which are your strengths. And number three, it supports the organization value. So wherever these three intersect is the area where your leadership brand is best formed. Also, you need to know that your brand needs to evolve at key points in your career. So if you're getting the same requests and opportunities and projects that you got 2 or 3 years ago, then you are not advancing your career, because opportunities and requests and projects need to evolve with time, and so does your brand. Okay, if just consider your brand, and if the opportunities or the projects that you're attracting are not attracting or not building your brand or not in line with your brand, then diplomatically refuse. And if that's not politically correct, because sometimes you do have to do it, right? We're at work, we really cannot refuse projects, so you'll have to do it anyways. Then perhaps try and negotiate for future assignments, okay? But it's very important to ask yourself, are you working hard on the right projects? Are you working hard on brand building? Okay, and what exactly is the criteria to know that you're working on the right projects? Two questions again. Does the opportunity allow you to showcase your brand? Does this opportunity demonstrate your ability to deliver business results? Because eventually it's all about business results. Even if you have a spectacular brand but is not really contributing to business results, then your worth in the organization is going to be it's going to be useless. You will be worthless, right? Irrespective of however strong your brand is. So it has to contribute to business results, and it should be showcasing your brand. Okay, and what are the supporting criteria which you can ask yourself when attracting project assignments? Do the assignments that I'm attracting, all the assignments that I'm doing, do these assignments directly support the organization goals? Do they improve the bottom line? Do they save or make dollars? Because eventually, people who are promoted, people who progress in any organization, or who make it to top level executive positions, or who get frequent promotions, are the people who are actually saving or making dollars, or making a difference on the bottom line of the organization. So that's really important to ask yourself. Once you've done this exercise on building your brand, asking yourself the relevant questions, it is now very important, and this is something which women severely lack in, and that is self-promotion. It is super, super, super important to self-promote yourself. And I'm not saying it in a way which is, which is going to make you sound, somebody who's bragging or somebody who's just showing off. No, nobody's asking you to be ostentatious. But yes, you need to learn to self-promote yourself in all the right ways. Now, what exactly do you need to do to promote your brand? So once you build your leadership brand, right, you have created a great leadership brand, okay, and you're on your path to communicating that brand to everyone, you need to make sure that you promote it, because then only will people be able to get attracted to your brand. Because if you haven't promoted it, if you haven't communicated the brand to anyone, then nobody would know you. And no matter how hard you're working on your brand, no matter how hard you are working at work or office with colleagues and projects, you'll never be noticed. So remember that no one will promote your brand for you, not unless you're a celebrity, right? And even celebrities, of course, had to kind of start somewhere, right? They had somebody endorsing them in the beginning. Everybody did not, when everybody wasn't born popular or successful. You all have to create a way for it. So you have to promote it yourself. And you have to practice promoting it and practice confidence every day to promote it every day. So what you need to do is, the first thing you need to do is to get out of your comfort zone, okay? And you need to focus on positioning yourself in best light that you can, right? For example, women usually take a lot of, sometimes it happens that women take career breaks when they have kids, they have breaks, and they have, and when they're transitioning back, they often feel very conscious that, oh, you know what, I missed all this. To be honest, everybody knows, do not focus on the negative. Try, because, a lot of times when you're not working and you're often doing volunteering assignments, even when you're managing homes, even when you're managing your home, you are using certain skills which will be, you're managing your finances, you're planning, you're organizing, you're managing the time, you're managing your kids. And that is in itself skills that will be useful in the organization one day. So never, never, never disregard your career breaks or your volunteer experiences. Always focus on positioning yourself in a positive light, and focus where you want to go, not what you have been doing. So now there are two ways of doing it. Sorry, there are many ways of doing it, sorry. One of the best way is two-way networking. So when you are networking with people within your organization, right, or when you're networking with people outside the organization, what you can do is you can actually offer a two-way networking. And two-way networking is that when you are benefiting somebody in your organization a certain way, when you ask for a favor, for example, if you go to a department you need, because you're always working cross-departmental, we're working with teams in different departments. So when you are asking for a favor, if you're asking for a project or a thing to be done, then in return offer something, because when it is two-way networking, that is the most effective way of collaborating anywhere. And these days, the 21st century really, really promotes two-way networking. So it's not just about one-way networking, what that person can give, but it's also what you can give back to the person. Then in your organization, identify behaviors that are appreciated. Look at the people around you who are successful, who are being promoted. Why are they being promoted? What do you think they're doing? What is the difference? Study those behaviors, right? And see if you could actually kind of inculcate those behaviors in your work schedule. Then speak, blog, present. Now, speak, blog, present, I know a lot of people would say that, what do I do in an organization? How do I speak, blog? But honestly, every organization provides lots of opportunities, volunteering events where you could take the chance to step up, speak. If you have a company magazine, write for it. If you don't have, start a blog of your own and share it with colleagues. Talk about topics that are interesting in your department or matter to you. Which matters to your organization, which matters to people in your team. Try and be present in meetings which are influential and where you can create a difference. Okay, whenever you're doing something good, mark an email to your managers, to senior people, saying FYI. Whenever you get a good appreciation from anyone, send a copy to your manager and document all the positive responses and all the appreciation that you get, because this is really important. I learned this very late in my life, because even I used to do lots of trainings, and I trained thousands of people, and a lot of times I didn't really document all the good feedback. I would say, okay, the company has it, that's fine, I'm going to take it later. But then obviously the later never happened, because once the opportunity is gone, you find it very difficult to get those things back. You can document wherever you have received appreciation, whatever you've done anything good, okay? And perhaps do not burden your manager with everything, every day with a mail. Perhaps just, file everything together in one email and send it a week and tell your boss, this is what I've been doing. Buddy system is a very interesting concept, and people find it very interesting is because in this system, you try and promote a buddy, and you speak good of and you speak on behalf of that buddy, and in turn, whenever your turn comes, the buddy promotes you. So it's like a buddy system in which you kind of promote each other. It's a very good way of being successful at work, finding buddies who you can promote, so that when your time comes and when your progression comes, then you can also kind of reciprocate the same favor. But it is really, really important to step up and to ask for opportunities and to promote your brand, because unless and until you don't do that, then nobody will know what you're up to. And so just get out and make sure that you, and yes, nominate yourself for an award if you can. I mean, I know people might say, how can I nominate myself for an award in the companies? But I'm a lot of companies always running these award systems, and nobody's nominating you. Well, ideally speaking, you should have built a good enough team who will be nominating. But if nobody nominates you, that's fine. Just self-nominate yourself. But be there, always be there, and create opportunities. So, for example, I remember when I was back at work and I was working in a pharmaceutical company, I was working for Guest Pharma in Pakistan. And I was an assistant manager then. When I started off my career, I was just a junior assistant manager, but I regularly got opportunities to deal with the CEO. Why? Because I always came up with these new projects, like, oh, let's do a mission statement exercise. Let's make everybody aware of the mission statement and the values of the organization, or let's do like a new orientation exercise, or let's do a women revitalizing stress management program. So I always came up with these ideas which would make me known to them. And that's the reason perhaps why I got promotion quickly, and that's the reason why I in these last 2 years in London progressed quickly, is because I never leave any opportunity to promote my brand or to do whatever good I do. And I was nominated for 2 awards this year, even though I've just been here for a very short time. But I think the reason why that happened is because I did not fail to self-promote myself, not in a bad way. And I know women especially have this thing about promoting themselves, but wherever you get the opportunity. And if you are feeling shy about it, tell it in the form of a story. But please do not let go of the opportunities to tell people about the good things that you're doing or about the good projects that you've. The next very important thing is identifying mentors, sponsors, and advisors. And that's something which will really, really help you in the organization. So whether you're in business or whether you're at work, there are always some people who are very influential at work who could be your sponsors. Now, there is a difference between advisors, mentors, and sponsors. So advisors could be colleagues or, someone who can facilitate introductions to people who can help move your career forward. This person might be somebody who knows upper level management at your company and who has the ability to help your career, and he can introduce you to other people. So they could just be advisors, they could be people from different departments, they could be colleagues, they could also be your manager, to be honest. Who are mentors? Well, mentors are someone you can tell the good, the bad, and the ugly to. So the reason why you have mentors is because, and a lot of companies now increasingly have started mentoring programs in which you either have, women to kind of, you either have mentors who can, from within your department, or you have mentors from different departments who can help you, who can advise you, and you can discuss the good and the bad, ugly. You can discuss everything with them. Be very selective in picking this mentor because they should really care about your professional and personal growth, and this should be a person who you admire, respect, and who has a higher position than you and can offer strategic, intelligent advice and moves to make as you rise in your corporate structure. So mentors, and so those are mentors. Your mentors doesn't need to be in your company. Also, you could also have mentors outside the company, but somebody who does understand how it is to work and pursue a corporate career. The clearer you are with your mentor and what exactly you want to take your career, the more fine-tuned the advice is going to be. Last but not the least, the sponsor. A sponsor is really, really important. Sponsor is someone who's very different from a mentor, okay? And this was this is something which I've taken from Carla, who is a very senior vice president at JP Morgan. And she said, she's the one who highlighted this, and she said that this person, the sponsor, must be in your company. It cannot be somebody who's outside your company. It should be somebody in your company, must hold a position of great power and influence. And it's somebody you only tell the good to, because sponsors are senior partners and influential partners in your organization that are going to make sure that they will help you in going up the career ladder. So you have to make sure that you only show the positive things to them. And obviously, when you identify a sponsor, it really cannot be something which it's something which has to be evidenced and has to be substantiated. So whatever you're claiming that you're good at has to be substantiated, it has to be evidenced. It can't be made up stories, of course, but it is somebody who has to be in the organization. But it's also somebody who carries your paper, and you only tell them the good, you only tell them what the best things you've done, why you're the best person for the job, because your sponsor is the one that will fight for you when other candidate sponsors are fighting for them. Because I'm sure all of you know that when you have a promotion, right? And when, for example, if you are promoting your team members, and when you're a manager and when you have to promote your team members, all organizations have a limited number of promotions, right? And you really need to be very good at convincing the CEO that the person you're promoting or the person you're recommending for promotion is really good. You need to be strong. So for that to happen, you need to make sure as a person, if you are being recommended as a promotion, that your case is very strong and the sponsor really, really believes in you. So identify those sponsors in the organization. And it's only when they have full confidence in you that they will know that there's no wavering during your fight for promotion. They will be confident and they will fight for your progression. Sponsors could be women. These sponsors could be men, to be honest. We didn't have a lot of women back in when I started my career 13 years ago. So most of the sponsors or managers that you had were men. So of course, try and identify sponsors who will help you get up in your career. And of course, it's important to identify sponsors who you respect, because obviously as women, you need to be careful about the sponsors, managers, and advisors to choose. You really need to make sure that whoever it is evokes respects you, and not some shady person who, you can't really, because obviously you can't really work with people who make you uncomfortable or who are directly or indirectly trying to harass you, because then of course I wouldn't recommend them as sponsors, advisors, managers, mentors at all. Okay, so identify people who you respect and who can make you go up the ladder. And last but not the very least, the most important thing for women is self-care. And self-care is really important because the challenges which hold women back in their career is a lot of women reported are managing stress and finding time for themselves. And this is really, really important when you're working because, like I said, as women, you have lots of responsibilities. You are playing multiple roles. You could wife, mom, daughter, friend, of course, a career professional. You are doing lots of things together, and it's very easy to lose yourself. And I know this is not really something related to career, but then it is, because if you are not really looking after your well-being, and if you do not pursue a well-balanced if you don't have work-life balance, then to be honest, whatever you're doing is eventually not going to help you, because you will be so drained out and you'll be so exhausted that you will not be able to do anything in future. So whenever you feel that you're overwhelmed, hit the pause button, take a break, rest and recuperate and start afresh. And I cannot emphasize this enough, because I know that a lot of people sometimes don't like to take holidays. They just want to continue working, but literally in the long term, this is very detrimental for you. So make sure you take time out. And I know that when you are working as a full-time professional, it is difficult to take time out. But then there's little things which you can incorporate in your schedule, which will definitely help you better. And for example, meditation literally takes 10 minutes every day. Mindfulness, I mean, lots of mindfulness trainings on YouTube. And yoga, exercise, these literally take 10-15 minutes every day, but they are really, really going to be very beneficial for you. Nurture a hobby. This is so important, because when you have a hobby and when you do something which you really enjoy doing, for example, cooking, painting, gardening, whatever it is that your hobby is, do it. Practice it at least once a week, because that is really going to refresh your mind. Treat yourself once in a while. Go and pamper yourself. Go to a good restaurant, go for, whatever. I mean, just go to a salon, whatever you want to do, but treat yourself, bond with friends, and start a gratitude journal. Gratitude journal, it plays a very important role in eliminating the stress that you may be facing. Once you start your day and you end your day with gratitude, and by counting all the positive things in life, it has a very good, psychologically, it has a very positive impact on your life. And of course, train your brain to think positively, because that's important. How could you train your brain? You can obviously fill it with positive thoughts. You can start questioning your negative limiting beliefs, and you train your brain to think that you can do something. Because honestly, whatever you tell your mind, your brain is really, really powerful and really obedient too. So whatever you're going to tell your mind, that's exactly how it's going to react. So make sure that you feed your brain with positive and can-do thoughts only, because as they say, whether you think you can, whether you think you cannot, you're always right. So make sure you feed in positive thoughts as well. So if you liked this training, these are some of the big bite-sized trainings which I picked up from the Career Exceller. Now, what exactly it is, and I'm going to talk about this for just the next 4 or 5 minutes. Career Exceller is a global digital program for women leaders. Okay, it's a program which has been launched a number of times. A lot of women have gone through the trainings. The KTX Women Leadership Program basically offers 36 different soft skill trainings, and trainings which are going to be catering all the gender-specific derailers which women often face in their career. So most of the trainings, in fact, all of the trainings are designed in a way that they will help you overcome gender-specific derailers which hold you back in your career. Not only will there be 36 different trainings in self-esteem and team leadership category, there will be career acceleration tips and strategies from guest experts. There will be weekly live question and answer sessions and group coaching. There will be book reviews, and there will be a dedicated group. Okay, sorry, I have a question. Hi, Hira, what's the email address? I am going to let you know what my email address is right away. Okay, so basically I was telling about this program. So what exactly is the Career Exceller Women Leadership Program? It is basically a digital online program. And it has been launched a number of times. And I know that a lot of people had this question where they wanted to know what exactly is, how can an online program be effective. Now, to be honest, this program has been rolled out a number of times. It has lots and lots of global participants. The reason why online programs are being preferred is, number one, it offers convenience. Number two, they are more economical. And number three, for women who often have to go back and look after their families and do XYZ things, it's often very difficult, especially here in US and UK, to kind of pick them out and attend full day workshops because you're at work, and then sometimes on holidays you can't really do that. So the online program offers you recorded webinars, about 36 recorded webinars every week. About 3 sessions will be released, which will be around 4.5 hours each. And then end of the week, there will be live question and answer session. Now, this is very different. The reason why this program is different from the rest of the programs is because usually what people do is they just give you online recordings and that's it, and then they go. In this particular program, we will make sure that we are present. We will have a dedicated Facebook group where we will have office hours. You can post any queries. After every 3 sessions at the end of the week, we will be appearing live. The trainers will be appearing live online. They'll be having a live session just like that. And we will just be here to answer your queries. So whatever queries you have, with interactive sessions, you can put forward your questions with respect to the trainings which you did last week. We will answer the questions, and then only we will move on to the next module. Now, the reason why people have preferred this even more as compared to live sessions, is because with recorded webinars, you can always go back to it again and again. Now, in any live workshops itself, because I've been training for 13 years and I've done live workshops, yes, they're enjoyable, but to be honest, it's more of, the lunches and the tea breaks and the interaction. But in terms of retention, there are just 2 or 3 ideas which you return, because obviously you are not really recording everything, right? You will just retain 2 or 3 top ideas, you'll get a manual, and you'll never look at it again. The KTX Women Leadership Program ensures that these sessions are recorded, of course, and given to you. So you can always go back to them whenever you want. And then it's not that you disappear, because we have and you will be part of the group, and you will never be kicked out of the group, because more and more women will be added. But every time there is a live session on the topics, you will be welcome to 10 sessions. And of course, once you are through with your phase of the program, then the next priority will be given to the people who start new. And your first priority will be during the 3 months that the program is being conducted. And that's when all of your questions will be answered. But if you have missed some sessions, and if you want to attend question answer sessions in the next phase, you are also welcome to do that. But you will have the training recordings with you. You can go back to them whenever you want. There will be coaches and trainers in the Facebook group. There will be global career guest experts coming in and adding value to the topics, which I am the main lead trainer of this particular program. But there will be guest experts coming in and adding value to whatever topics that I'm doing. There will be, like I said, question answer sessions. We'll try and do 2 or 3 book reviews as well. And there will be a dedicated Facebook group. But the very important thing is, a lot of people say that, will people take this seriously? Because online programs, usually people don't do. Honestly, the success of this really depends on the top management. So if this is made something which is mandatory, because I know over here, all the big 4 companies and a lot of different companies are using these programs, and it is very, very important. It's obligatory. It's linked to their performance that they have to do the sessions. And once it is made obligatory, then people obviously do it. Because if you don't do that, then of course, how long recording? The recording will be available. So the recording will be available for as long as they want. We are going to do the recording. They'll have access to the program, and then after that they can move on and do the program. And they can, ideally speaking, we will want you to finish the training in 3 months, because if you linger on for too long, then honestly you will not be able to do it. So ideally speaking, we want complete commitment and 100% dedication. Is just 4.5 hours a week, which is 4.5 hours a week means that you can literally just dedicate 20 or 30 minutes every day, and you will be done with that module. And then there'll be like question answer sessions. But the recording is going to be there with you for as long as you want to. Ideally speaking, we would want to only give access to you for a couple of 3 to 6 months, because if we hold on to it for too long, then probably the chances are then you would think, oh, okay, so I have the recording, I'll do it next month, or I'll do it after 3 months, or I'll do it 4 months, and that will never happen. So that's why we really, really, really encourage that the webinars need to be finished within 3 months. And every week you have the recordings with you. You can access it, but try and make sure that you finish the sessions every week so that we can do the question answer session for that particular module. And then only we can move on to the next one. It is comprised of 36 skills, which I'm going to show you right away. So these are the training programs which are there in the KTX Women Leadership Program. Self-leadership, which I talked about in the beginning, is being covered in 100% detail there. Your personal branding, your self-esteem, assertiveness, imposter syndrome, effective body language and feminine presence, identifying key sponsors and mentors at work, how to find these sponsors and mentors at work, change management, creative thinking, problem solving. So this is a very, very comprehensive program which has about nearly 36 sessions and covers all aspects of soft skills, including self-leadership and team leadership. And the important thing is that all of the trainings will be covered with respect to the career derailers, which generally hold women back. And there's negotiation, there's networking, there's leadership, there's selling ideas and projects smartly, there's business leadership, conflict resolution. So literally everything will be okay. Anything. So I have another question here. Okay. So now the cost of this program is globally is $650 per person. But if you're going to do it, because I'm collaborating with Zahid Saab in this and we're offering this through HR Matrix, the program is going to be $400 only. So globally, this program is being offered at $650 per person. But because we're doing it with HR Matrix, the cost is going to be $400. And in case you're interested in registering your teams for it, then you can definitely get in touch with Zahid Saab and send your registrations there. But this is it from my side. And yes, the sooner you register, the better, because once, we do it twice or thrice, then the price will eventually increase and go up, right? So the sooner you register, the better it is. And if you like the training session today, please share your feedback with us, because this is just one of the sessions and this is just bits of what will be there in the actual training. There will be around 36 such trainings in different aspects like delegation and team performance reviews and your own goal setting and NLP and rewiring your brain for success and questioning your limiting beliefs. So literally very, very detailed, comprehensive soft skills will be covered in this, because I'm a soft skill trainer and I have seen the impact that soft skills make on people, men and women, and especially women, because women obviously need these all the more, because right now gender parity is still a big thing in the Asian countries, and you really need to step up and you need to polish your soft skills in order to be successful. So I am so glad. Thank you very much, Aima, that you found it informative. I would love to have your feedback, and if there are any questions, please send the questions to Zahid Saab or to myself, and I would be really glad to address them. And I am going to pause the recording, stop the recording. Yeah. Okay, so let me unmute you all and see if there are any questions.